Look, Elon's one of the most extraordinary entrepreneurs in the world today. And I think, like all great entrepreneurs, he's brilliant, he's irascible. Sure, he can be challenging. But don't lose sight of the fact Tesla's in the process of growing from $9 billion in revenue last year, or $11 billion last year, to $19 billion this year. The company is still growing way faster than any auto company in the world. It's on a path to going to becoming profitable in Q4. If Elon can accomplish all this, all of the other concerns, I think, will be an asterisk. The board, I think, is strong. A lot of smart people on the board. I think the firm will do just fine.
Do you have any concern at all that some have shared with Mr. Musk's sort of mental state? And I ask that because of the New York Times story from last week, and others, Kara Swisher on our air earlier, also talking a bit about that. Certainly a lack of sleep here seems to be one contributor. But do you have any overall concerns or any advice you might give to the current board in terms of how to deal with him?
Well, no. Look, he's under a lot of stress, but he's running 3 companies. This is not a surprise. They're growing at breakneck speed. Keep this in mind. Tesla was manufacturing about 500 cars a week at the end of last year. Now they're manufacturing and delivering 6,000 cars a week. The biggest selling car in the United States last year was the Honda Civic, 377,000 units delivered. People don't realize the Tesla Model 3 is about to become the biggest selling car in America. That's an extraordinary accomplishment. Is he under pressure? For sure. But I think what the board will likely do is bring in a strong number 2 so Elon can do what he can do best, which is to be a visionary.
Jim, I wonder what your take is on the Elon Musk management situation. I mean, he said in the New York Times interview last week that if there's anybody who can manage, who can run Tesla better, he'd be happy to step aside, implying that there's nobody not only who's better qualified to be number 1, but he's not looking for a number 2 either. How is that sustainable, you think?
Well, Elon is, he's an extraordinary person. He's unusual. He's not like the majority of the people out there, and he's extremely capable, and he has pretty high standards. So anybody that he would bring into his circle of trust would have to meet a pretty high standard, and I suspect he's just not found that person yet. He did with Gwen Shotwell at SpaceX, and that's working very, very well. But it's important to recognize what he's really trying to do with Tesla here is even more important than what he did with PayPal and SpaceX. I mean, he took on the banking industry with PayPal. He took on the launch and aerospace mafia with SpaceX. And now what he's trying to do is to create an automotive company, which is the equivalent really of General Motors and Ford. And it's a very, very difficult hill to climb. In common terms, think of if the Libertarian Party had managed to find a presidential candidate that could beat one of the major Democratic or Republican candidates. That's the kind of hill that Elon's climbing here. And I think he's the one guy that can probably do it. I, for one, am not too worried about him. But I share the view that he does need a good, strong number 2. And there's probably somebody out there. It's just a matter of finding them.